If you're aiming to relocate to Greenville, South Carolina in 2025, then this video is for you. Greenville has been named one of the South's best cities, having one of the best main streets in the entire country, and has been named as one of the cleanest cities in the entire United States. So in this video, we are going to discuss the pros and cons of moving to Greenville in 2025 and what the city and county have on their radar for the new year. Let's do it. As always, my friends, my name is Sawyer, your friend in real estate here in the upstate of South Carolina. And it's our goal with this channel that we are your #1 resource for all the things that you need to know about your relocation to the upstate. We are dedicated to providing you the most reliable, the most practical, and the most relevant information that you can find about Greenville, South Carolina. And as someone who is going to help over 100 families this year in 2024, I would love to be the realtor that you choose to work with if you do decide to move to Greenville in 2025. So first up, let's talk about the pros of moving to Greenville in 2025. Well, first off, as I've said before in one of my very first videos, be ready for really nice people. Now, when you're walking down Main Street or walking in and out of businesses, people are going to say hello to you. They're gonna hold the door for you. I'll have a lot of clients come in from out of town, say from up north or from way out west, who just aren't used to that Southern hospitality. And they'll say, "Will, why are people so nice here?" And I say, that's just the Greenville way. So next up, let's talk about the amenities that Greenville has to offer a resident. Greenville, South Carolina, like I said, is known as one of the country's best small cities. And we've actually had other city managers come in and interview and spend days with our mayor, Knox White, to review how Greenville has planned its city and how they've done what they've done over the last 25 years. Greenville's known for its park space, for the Swamp Rabbit Trail, which runs from Travelers Rest to downtown Greenville, through downtown, and to Conisty Nature Preserve. And there's also a number of extensions that are being done on the Swamp Rabbit Trail, only to increase the distance that you can travel on the Swamp Rabbit Trail and increase the connectivity into communities that the Swamp Rabbit Trail has. In addition, several parks are either adding features to their existing parks or renovating current features that they have. For instance, Unity Tower, which is currently being constructed in Unity Park, is going to be a 10-story observation tower that overlooks the city of Greenville and Unity Park. Also in Unity Park, Mayberry Park is being added, which is going to be a Little League baseball field, well, should I say stadium, as it's going to be encapsulated with bleachers and seats and boxes. It's going to be pretty awesome. Also, Cleveland Park, downtown Greenville, is adding pickleball courts and tennis courts. And there's a number of other renovations that have been done to parks in 2024 that are going to be able to have full use starting in 2025. And the next pro to moving to Greenville in 2025 is that housing remains relatively affordable. So in Greenville, as of the time of this recording, the average price of a home is about $385,000. You compare that to the national average of just over $400,000. That makes Greenville about 5% cheaper than the rest of the country. And I can think of a number of cities in the Southeast particularly, where a lot of my clients who end up moving to Greenville are considering moving to these other cities as well. And Greenville prices tend to be lower than these other cities. For instance, a number of cities in Florida, a number of cities on the coast of, say, South Carolina and North Carolina, as well as a number of cities in Tennessee. And with the net migration into Greenville from other states and from other parts of South Carolina, I do anticipate home prices continuing to rise at a healthy pace of 3 to 6% year over year. You know, the days of 15%, 20% year over year appreciation, I think, are over, especially considering where we are rate-wise, which has softened prices a little bit in other parts of the country. But through all of that, over the last 2 or 3 years, Greenville has still seen steady appreciation ranging from 8% to 4% each year. So next up on the list for pros of moving to Greenville would be the weather. And of course, we've talked about this a number of times on the channel. Weather in Greenville tends to be pretty moderate. We do have 4 seasons here in South Carolina, especially the Upstate. As we are getting closer and closer to the Blue Ridge Mountains in the summertime, Daily temperatures range usually from 85 to 95 degrees. At nighttime, temperatures will be in the 80-degree range, especially after the sun goes down. It's very, very pleasant. In the wintertime, temperatures range from 40 to 55 degrees during the day, and temperatures at night will range anywhere from 35 to 45 degrees. So here in the upstate, we do average well over 200 days of sun, and we average around 50 to 60 inches of rain per year. So no extreme weather, no hurricanes. There's not a huge prevalence of tornadoes here either. And there's rarely floodplains that you would have to have flood insurance for your property for. So all in all, weather here is a pro. So the next pro for moving to Greenville in 2025 is gonna be cost of living. And first and foremost, let's talk about property taxes as a homeowner. What I tell my clients to do is multiply the purchase price times 0.006. That's gonna give you a decent estimate of your property taxes per year. And this can come as a sticker shock for some folks who are moving from the Northeast or from down in Florida who have seen significant increases in their property taxes year over year over the last 3 or 4 years. But on average, let's say if you buy a $500,000 house, you're gonna pay around $3,000 if it is your primary residence here in Greenville. Utility costs are also advantageous here in Greenville. According to PayScale, which is an online resource, the average utility cost here in Greenville is about 9% lower than the national average. I always tell my clients, budget $140 to $200 per month for power, budget 50 to 60 for water. If you have gas, I would budget another 60 to 70. Trash, oftentimes the county will pick up trash, but if you have to hire a private service, it'll only be about $40 a month. And then our HOAs here in Greenville are relatively cheap, especially if you're coming from a master plan community, say in the Low Country or somewhere in Florida or elsewhere. Our average HOA is roughly $400 to $450 a year. So that's gonna be about $40 a month that you can add to your budget there too. All right, so now let's talk about the cons of moving to Greenville in 2025. And the first thing that comes to mind is the increase in traffic due to increase in population growth, which we'll get to next. Now, especially along these major corridors like Woodruff Road and Haywood Road, especially around the holidays, Butler Road and Malden, Wade Hampton Boulevard, not necessarily because of the amount of cars driving on Wade Hampton Boulevard, but just because of the amount of stoplights that you'll endure when you're commuting to and from work. You may or may not be sitting in traffic, depending on the time of day that you're traveling down these roads. A number of stores are along that Woodruff Road corridor. You have a lot of out-of-town traffic coming in to shop, especially on the weekends. A number of newer developments are just below Butler Road. So we've seen a very steep increase in traffic along Butler Road in Malden. And then Wade Hampton Boulevard services pretty much all traffic in the northern section of Taylor's, in Greer, and in northern Greer. And if you live in, say, Lyman, you're gonna be traveling on Wade Hampton as well, coming to and from work if you're working there in Greenville. Now, increasing traffic is one of the city and county's top priorities. For instance, the Woodruff Road Congestion Relief Project, which is a $121 million project estimated to be completed in 2029, which will hopefully alleviate a lot of the Woodruff Road traffic that folks currently experience. And the South Carolina Department of Transportation is spearheading that project. And Greenville has also included an intelligent traffic system, which in real time monitors traffic signals to optimize traffic flow and safety for pedestrians if they're walking along highways and roadways. And these aren't the only projects that the city and county are working on, but these two main projects are being implemented to hopefully decrease congestion and maximize the flow of traffic on a daily basis. So the next con we'll address is the increasing population that is abound in Greenville County. And with an increase in population, certainly comes growing pains. For instance, housing. While housing remains relatively affordable here in the county, it has significantly increased over the last 5 years. I can think of 5 years ago here in Greenville County, the average price of a house was around $275,000. And as we sit here today, the average price of a home here in Greenville County is $385,000. And not only have home prices risen, utility costs have risen over the last 5 years, and property taxes have slightly increased over the last 5 years. So as our population grows, there's more utility demand. Infrastructure has to be increased because usage is being increased on a daily basis. So it's putting a lot more pressure on these utility companies to add more lines, to supply more communities, and to provide services for more and more people. So as our population continues to grow here in Greenville, schools are also feeling this pressure. So as the population grows, school population grows, and the demand for one, more schools and better infrastructure in the schools has increased. And it's led the county to add elementary schools. And now recently they announced Reedy Laurel Elementary School is going to be open in August of 2025, which is going to be home to about 750 elementary school age children. And Northview Middle School is being relocated from its 50-year-old complex to a new 30-acre complex off of Highway 25, and that'll be open supposedly in 2027. So the last con we'll talk about is growing concerns with infrastructure here in the city and the county. And first up, let's talk about traffic congestion, which, like I've said before, is a top priority for the city and county. For instance, the Lawrence Road corridor is getting a big facelift. $210 million has been pledged to improve this roadway. And this is on a map what you would see as Highway 276 coming out of Greenville, servicing communities like Day, Gower, Parkins Mill, Malden, and Simpsonville. So a lot of people live on this corridor. A lot of people access this corridor to go home or to go to work. So an improvement on this corridor, in my opinion, is needed. That money is going to be spent bettering the roadways, increasing open spaces along the roadway. It's going to go toward affordable housing along this corridor and traffic management. And like I mentioned previously in the video, the Woodruff Road Relief Project, which is going to be a $121 million project spearheaded by the South Carolina Department of Transportation, hopefully will offer a long-term relief for this massive traffic congestion that we have along Woodruff Road. However, in the short term, it is going to probably cause an increase in traffic along Verde Boulevard and Woodruff Road. And in addition to traffic concerns, there's also a growing EV demand here in Greenville, and the city and the county has put a lot of effort into adding more EV stations. Formerly, there was really only one major one, which was at Sam's Club on Woodruff Road, and now other ones have been added, like for instance on Haywood Road, and more are pledged to come. And finally, let's talk about REWA, which is our local wastewater treatment company, which services Greenville County, parts of Lawrence County, parts of Anderson County, and parts of Spartanburg County. They have just opened, as of December 2024, their new water treatment facility as the population has grown and as there has been much more demand put on safe and secure water treatment facilities. They put about $72 million into this new facility, and it is going to start service this month and moving into 2025. So in my opinion, if I'm someone looking to move to Greenville and I'm considering the pros and the cons, I think the pros outweigh the cons. I think Greenville's doing a great job of planning, doing all that they can to be responsible as they can to provide affordable housing, to provide infrastructure upgrades, and to become the South's #1 city for folks who are looking to start their next phase of life. And if that sounds like you, I would love to work with you. So please do me a favor, give me a call at my cell phone number below or shoot me an email at my email below. I would love to hear about you and your desire to relocate to the upstate of South Carolina. As always, my friends, my name is Will Sawyer, your friend in real estate here in the upstate of South Carolina. And until next time, be safe. Well, this video is going to be about Greenville County, the upstate of South Carolina. Great thing to do and easily in the evening. I'm a local real estate expert here in the area. All the time, we're right behind me is a really cool place called Freight Yard.